It was 2:14 a.m. when the alert started. First, a silent trigger. Then, the flood. Thousands of login attempts from a single IP, hammering the system with relentless precision. Admin panels blinked erratically. Files began disappearing, replaced by cryptic notes. Code injected where it shouldn't be. Passwords, encrypted just hours before, were now unraveling like thread pulled from the edge of a sweater. In the dark server room of a mid-sized healthcare firm in Seattle, a technician stared in disbelief as unauthorized activity spidered across the network map. Red zones were multiplying. Firewalls that should have held like steel were folding like paper. A voice crackled through his headset, Is this part of the scheduled penetration test? A moment of silence. No. That one word, cold and absolute, sent a tremor down his spine. Somewhere in that instant, a line blurred. White hat, or black? Tonight, we're diving deep into the murky terrain between criminal intent and moral obligation. This is the story of how a single ethical hacker, working entirely within the law, walked straight into a minefield of assumptions, power, and digital vulnerability. This is no fictional thriller. It began with one test, and ended with a federal inquiry, corporate scandal, and a debate that shook the cybersecurity world to its core. Who was this hacker? What exactly did they uncover? And how did a company's decision to hire help nearly destroy them from the inside out? You're about to find out. It started with a contract. Redline Health was no household name, but it was a vital one. With medical records from over 800,000 patients across 5 states, it was a juicy target in a digital age where health data fetches more on the dark web than stolen credit cards. They weren't hacked, yet. But they were scared. The rise in ransomware attacks, phishing exploits, and exposed hospital systems had executives sleeping with one eye open. So they called in help. Enter Kade Nolan. 34 years old. Quiet. Methodical. A white-hat hacker who rarely smiled, but always listened. He wasn't famous, didn't post tutorials, and avoided the spotlight like it was malware. But among insiders, his name meant something. He was the kind of guy who could find a backdoor you didn't know existed, and lock it before anyone else even noticed it was there. Redline handed him a temporary badge, a few friendly emails, and a vague invitation, see what you can find. He started on a Tuesday. No dramatics. No theatrics. Just a man with a laptop and permission to legally break in. By Thursday, he had quietly mapped every employee login, documented vulnerable software dependencies, and discovered that 3 of Redline's internal tools hadn't received security patches in over 6 years. By Friday, he'd already slipped in through a forgotten testing server, one that still used default credentials from a third-party vendor. Then he saw it, deep in a legacy archive folder buried under naming conventions so confusing they seemed deliberate. Encrypted zips. Patient folders. Internal communications marked confidential, but the encryption was flawed. Weak keys. Outdated algorithms. Within 10 minutes, he cracked open the first one. He paused. This wasn't just a flaw. This was negligence. And now, the dilemma began. Kade followed the proper channels. He documented everything. Uploaded a detailed report to Redline's private server. Left nothing out. No response. 2 days passed. Then came the call. Legal. HR, compliance. His access was revoked. The tone. Icy. The accusation. He'd gone too far. Accessed things not explicitly authorized. Kade's chest tightened. He had been here before, once. Years ago. Another company. Different name. Same panic. He reached out again. Offered a full debrief. Suggested steps for immediate remediation. Still nothing. Then the news broke. A whistleblower tip had landed at the desk of a regional cybersecurity watchdog. Redline was under investigation for mishandling sensitive patient data, violating HIPAA compliance, and attempting to suppress a breach report. But there was no breach. Not yet. That's when someone leaked the pen test report. Lines of code. Vulnerability screenshots. Logs of Kade's activities. Taken completely out of context. In the wrong hands, it read like a digital assault. The media called him a rogue hacker. Bloggers called him a hero. The FBI called him in for questioning. The question at the heart of the investigation was as sharp as a scalpel: was Kade Nolan protecting a company, or attacking it? The forensic investigation unraveled a troubling pattern. Redline executives had long known about the weak encryption and the outdated systems. They just hadn't fixed them. And Kade? He'd simply turned on a flashlight in a very dark room. But in doing so, he stepped into a battlefield few outsiders understand, the legal no man's land between permission and prosecution. Meanwhile, online forums exploded. Reddit threads debated ethics. Hacker collectives rallied behind him. Lawyers dissected the original contract line by line. Did Redline really authorize full penetration testing? Or just surface-level assessment? Was the vagueness intentional? Kade, meanwhile, was silent. He wasn't allowed to speak. But the cybersecurity world was not. 2 weeks later, a new twist. A second ethical hacker came forward, anonymous at first. Claimed to have previously flagged the same vulnerabilities at Redline. Said their warnings were ignored. Emails buried. Contract cut short. Was Redline trying to hide a ticking time bomb? As the public pressure mounted, internal communications leaked. Whispers of an executive decision to delay updates because compliance fines would be cheaper than infrastructure upgrades. It wasn't about ignorance. It was about risk management. Then, the climax. An independent audit found that Redline's unpatched systems had already been accessed, 3 months before Kade's test. The original breach had gone undetected. The attacker? Unknown. Origin? Likely overseas. The target? Medical records bundled and sold on the dark web. Kade hadn't exposed the system. He'd uncovered an existing crime. And by doing so, became the scapegoat for it. In the aftermath, Redline's CEO resigned. The company was hit with a $12 million fine. Congressional hearings were called to discuss the limits of ethical hacking and the need for clearer legal protections. The Department of Justice released a new framework for contracted cybersecurity professionals. And Kade? He disappeared. No interviews. No public statements. His online profiles vanished one by one. But in the quiet corners of the ethical hacking community, he became something else. A legend. His story, whispered like folklore, now teaches every new generation of white hats a brutal lesson: even when you follow the rules, you're still playing with fire. Today, we live in a world where corporations hide flaws behind NDAs. Where whistleblowers risk lawsuits for telling the truth. Where a single click can expose a system, and the person who reports it can be vilified. The line between savior and suspect has never been thinner. So ask yourself. If you saw the vulnerability, would you say something? Would you risk everything to protect people who might turn against you? Or would you stay silent, and let it burn? Thank you for watching Cybercrime Exposed, unmasking the dark side of the digital world. If you found this story compelling, subscribe to our channel for more true cybercrime documentaries that delve into the shadows of the digital age. Like this video to support our work, and comment below. Do you think ethical hackers are truly safe in today's world? Or are they just one report away from becoming a criminal suspect? Stay aware. Stay protected. And never forget, on the dark side of the digital world, truth is often the most dangerous code of all.